Paris, sprawling capital of culture and a key city in Europe's political and scientific development. This week, it's home to the world's leading transplantation professionals as they come together for the 49th annual meeting of the EBMT. Things are well underway at the Palais de Congrès de Paris as delegates gather for their first in-person annual meeting since 2019 to share research, network with peers, and discuss the latest in HSCT and cellular therapy. We'll take you around the world to hospitals, institutes, and companies doing extraordinary work in the field, and you can catch it right here on EBMT TV. Welcome back to the fourth and final show here at the 49th annual meeting of the EBMT. As the event draws to a close, we wanted to first thank you for joining us, but also let you know there still remains so much more exciting work to uncover and important issues to address. Here's what you need to know. Today on EBMT TV, we get insights from JACIE about its role in improving quality management in the clinical setting. We'll take a deep dive into GvHD developments with experts in the field. We'll take a final tour of organizations that highlight the latest innovation and research in the field, and finally catch the highlights from Tuesday at the 49th annual meeting of the EBMT. First off, we welcome Raffaella Greco, Chair of the EBMT Autoimmune Disease Working Party, to give us an overview of what's happening this Wednesday at the 49th annual meeting of the EBMT.
Hello, I'm Raffaella Greco, working in the bone marrow transplant unit of San Raffaele Hospital in Milano, Italy, and I'm the current chair of the Autoimmune Disease Working Party within the BMT and Scientific Council representative for education. You are really welcome today to the last day of the BMT 49 annual meeting. We will have 21 oral physician sessions covering many abstracts in transplant, disease, other topics like complication and novel approaches. This morning we'll start at 8:30 with the multi-stakeholder forum on innovative cellular therapies with all two sessions. The first one about access to innovative therapies and the second one about hospital exemption. At 12:30, you are also welcome to attend the special session on go-kart, where you will hear more details about the ongoing go-kart project that you can have here. And finally, this 49th annual meeting in Paris will be officially concluded during the closing session at 1:45. You can hear about the Springer Nature Poster Award and the Best Young Abstract Award that will be announced. And you will know also where the 50th annual meeting of the BMT will be held in 2024. So really enjoy this last day of the meeting. Bye, and we will see you around there.
Thanks, Raffaella. As you can see, this is an exciting last day that you certainly won't want to miss. Now let's take a look at the Mount Sinai Acute GvHD International Consortium, which is at the tip of the spear battling against GvHD and helping to make HCT safer and more effective for their patients.
MAGIC is actually an acronym for the Mount Sinai Acute GvHD International Consortium. And we formed MAGIC because we needed to accelerate the advances that we were making in the laboratory to bring them to patients. Graft versus host disease, or GvHD, is the major complication of allogeneic bone marrow transplantation. And it is one of the major obstacles for making transplantation safer and more effective.
It's been an amazing experience. I've been involved with MAGIC since its inception, and we've already accomplished a lot, but we think that there's a lot left to do. And now we've hit this steep part where every year we're being able to make new discoveries and develop new approaches to the problem. So it's a very exciting time to be involved in this collaboration.
This year marks the 25th anniversary of JACIE, EBMT's international standards and accreditation committee, focused on developing and maintaining high-quality medical and laboratory practice in HSCT and cellular therapy. We met with committee members to hear about the milestones and what the future holds for JACIE.
This is the 25th anniversary of JACIE since its inception in 1998, which is a fantastic milestone in its own right, but it's extra special because this is the first face-to-face meeting of EBMT since 2019. So it's just fantastic being able to celebrate this milestone with our colleagues. So where are we now? Well, JACIE is a quality assurance accreditation body. We promote continuous improvement, high quality patient care and laboratory performance in processing, collection and clinical transplant units using what is now an internationally recognised scheme of accreditation and re-accreditation based on working to a quality management system within a clinical setting. There have been over 1,000 applications, over 800 inspections and well over 700 accreditations awarded. So truly a global organisation with credibility amongst our peers.
Over the years, we have reached much further than Europe. We have a number of centres accredited in the Middle East and as far as South Africa, Singapore and Australia. We also work closely with our American colleagues at FACT, accrediting centres through Stepwise project in Latin America. We have currently 18 national representatives working with us, and they are enormous resource for us in terms of specific issues happening in that particular country. It is also a means for us to disseminate information, what is happening in JACIE and share that with the local transplant centres. So hugely important and valued member of our JACIE community.
I've been involved in the JACIE since 2015 with inspections. Basically I'm doing the laboratory side of things at the moment, involving processing and collection. In Norway we have 2 transplant centers. We have 4 doing autologous and 2 doing allogeneic and haplo transplants. So I think in every kind of a complex activity like cell transplants, from the donor side to the collection, processing and transplantation, you really need a high level of quality management.
We have our vision, which is as a global community to continuously improve cell therapy delivery for all concerned. We are working with FACT to improve accreditation accessibility to countries of low income through the Stepwise initiative. We are collaborating with pharma colleagues on the EBMT Go-Kart Coalition to streamline the delivery of the advanced therapies in the clinic.
EBMT has a number of JACIE related committees, so we work very closely with the JACIE committee, which defines the strategy for JACIE both operationally and long term. We also have accreditation committee, inspector committee and quality managers committee that are really representing the different stakeholders that JACIE works with.
So I think the future is very bright, lots to do.
Next, we visit one of the leading transplant facilities in Japan. The Hematology department at the Osaka International Cancer Institute is at the forefront of clinical research and treatment of hematological disorder, as well as training future hematologists.
The Osaka International Cancer Institute was founded in 1955. This was the first comprehensive hospital specialized in treatment for cancer and lifestyle-related diseases in Japan. Then in 1977, we succeeded in our first bone marrow transplantation. This marked the beginning of its history as a leading bone marrow transplant facility in the country.
We are currently providing hematopoietic stem cell transplantation and CAR-T therapy to 80 patients per year. We are eager to develop state-of-the-art stem cell-based therapies to overcome intractable hematological disorders.
Our Japanese study group has reported a promising clinical outcome using allogeneic hematopoietic cell transplantation in patients with ATL. We are trying to develop an artificial intelligence-supported detection system of ATL cells in peripheral blood. It is our hope that this technique will be helpful for the technicians to identify patients with abnormal lymphocytes in peripheral blood, which would contribute to the early diagnosis of ATL.
This hospital is one of the best places for young hematologists to accumulate their experiences of cutting-edge cell therapies. In the future, I believe those young doctors will have significant impact in the hematology field nationwide and beyond.
Graft versus host disease is always at the forefront of the minds of HSCT specialists, and looking at the latest research to manage and understand is a central part of the discussion here at the EBMT. Now, to have a discussion of our own, we've brought together a multidisciplinary team to discuss the very latest in GvHD, with nurse Sophie Van Lanker, physician Zinaida Perish, and patient advocate Guy Boget. Well, first of all, thank you ever so much, all of you, for coming today. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
So, Sophie, let's kick us off. So how big an issue is GvHD?
It's a big issue because one will get a medical treatment for acute disease and maybe they will have a chronic disease afterwards. And it's depend on the conditioning, on the donor, on the graft manipulation, but also one who has a matched symbolic donor can have graft versus host. So it's a big issue.
And Guy, how big an issue is it for patients?
It's a huge issue, really. You know, when you go for a bone marrow transplant, you don't think of you potentially gonna go and deal with a new disease because GvHD is a disease. You're going for a cure, and further than that, you don't really project yourself. But sometimes, and not for all patients, you do suffer for acute and sometimes chronic GvHD. And I think chronic GvHD is a real issue because it can last for a lifetime and it could be very debilitating for some patients. And it goes from very simple things like eye dryness to other skin condition or organ condition. So it's a huge issue, yeah, for patients.
So where are we in tackling this issue?
The golden treatment is steroids, which is the first-line treatment, and that hasn't changed for decades. It works in, let's say, majority of patients, but it has so many side effects, and I think nobody likes steroids. Doctors don't like them, patients don't like them, nurses don't like them. Unfortunately, we don't have nothing better at this point. Maybe in the future, some of the agents that we now use as second line might work good in the first line, and that's called a steroid-free approach. And of course, problem is this, as we say, second line. It's also a problem because until recently we didn't have any drugs approved. It is difficult, as this being such a rare disease, it's difficult to do clinical trials. So I would say we are tackling but we are not tackling it like we would like to do it.
Guy, you made a very interesting point earlier when you said that when a patient is signed up for a transplant, this is not what they're signing up for per se. So how do you educate people about the possibility of this?
When you get to the point where when you need a transplant, is that there's not too many other options. So the transplant is the one option left really for patients. So you want to inform the patient of the potential risk of getting GvHD, but the best risk is to get cured. It's important to give this information to patient and to the family to identify the sign of chronic GvHD, because we know, doctors know, nurses know, that in order to deal with GvHD, chronic GvHD, you need to tackle it right away. You don't want the GvHD to settle in, because sometime when it settles in, it becomes more difficult to get rid of it. So you need at that point to make sure that the patient and its family understand
what are the signs, and any signs could be a sign of GvHD. So it's this education at that point is super important, I think.
I guess my final question to all of you would be, what do you see the future for treatment of GvHD, and how optimistic are you that we can get this to a better place?
Hopefully we'll get even more good prevention and we'll have less GvHD. With some of the new techniques we do have less GvHD. Then we'll have a steroid-free approach in the first line, and we'll have very effective drugs if the first line doesn't work. So I hope that's the future.
It's also what we as nurses see. So when the first line doesn't work, they go to the second line, and you see patients get better and get home again and get alive again. So I think there is a future, yes.
I really agree that corticotherapy, a free treatment of GvHD could be and should be the future.
Well, thank you very much indeed for joining us. It's been a real pleasure. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So it's our final visit to hospitals around the world, and it's the turn of the University Hospital of Geneva. The Hematology service at HUG provides long-standing expertise in allogenic stem cell transplantation with lifelong follow-up of patients. It also serves as an HSCT reference centre for the French-speaking part of Switzerland.
The hematology service at HUG is offering care to hematological patients with non-malignant and malignant diseases, as well as being the center for allogeneic stem cell transplantation for the French-speaking part of Switzerland called Romandie. The main strength of the program is to be engaged for a lifelong follow-up of the patient, and also with new strategy in transplant and cellular therapy.
Having at our disposal different options in terms of cellular therapy, conditioning regimen, T-cell depletion strategies help us develop personalized treatment plan for every patient.
In the post-transplant care of patients, we continue with a lifetime annual checkup to detect any late complication. So it requires a good organization with the local therapist and also a strong level of education of our patient and family.
Before we wrap up our final show, let's revisit some of the top sessions from Tuesday at the 49th annual meeting of the EBMT. The EBMT TV highlights, extended interviews and film series are available wherever you're ready to watch, including on screen throughout the venue, online via the annual meeting virtual platform, via the EBMT 2023 meeting app, and on YouTube and Twitter. Watch daily for more great content and coverage. That's it from us here at EBMT TV. I can't believe it either. It's been a fantastic annual meeting, and I hope you've enjoyed being back in person as much as we have. If you missed anything from us here, don't worry. Most of the content will be available online, so click through to find plenty of more shows and clips covering all of this year's key topics. We look forward to seeing you next year, but for now, it's goodbye.